Campeones, campeones, campeones. You know, I am often criticized on not giving enough enthusiasm, not giving enough excitement, and all those things. But hey, Barcelona put up 5 on Real Madrid, so you're going to get maximum energy today. And hey, I am not taking this trophy for granted. It's the first for Hansi Flick, the 100th for FC Barcelona in their history. So I figured, yeah, I think it's time to have a little bit of fun because I'm going to tell you exactly how Barcelona got the job done against Real Madrid. Welcome to episode 646 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hilton, and if El Clásico means that you're new here, subscribing wherever you get your podcast, giving a like and leaving a comment, and subscribing on the YouTube channel, helping me out on Patreon until I can finally get some sponsors so that I can keep on doing this, or getting something on the merch store. That's a big help as well. Now let's dive in. Somehow I managed to get it down to just 5 headlines. So here they are, the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 5-2 win over Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup. Headline 1 is wake-up call. Now looking at the 2 starting lineups between these 2 teams, I like that there was no surprises. Now Real Madrid, especially along their back line, aren't necessarily in the best form. They're not necessarily in the best fitness, more importantly. And while that front four, that puts fear into every back line in world football, I like the fact for Barcelona that the 11 that Hansi Flick went with was the 11 that we knew that he was going to go with. And with the exception of Szczesny and Inaki Peña, 2 of which we will talk about later in this 5 headlines, I'd like that there was some continuity for Barcelona. I think that made things easier. I have mentioned before the drop-off for Barcelona at certain positions is a concern for them in the second half of the season. But as far as their starting 11, I take that 11, especially with Gavi back, against anybody in the world. And has been the case with recent El Clásicos with these 2 teams meeting. The first place that my eyes look is how Real Madrid and Barcelona are matching up with each other in the midfield. And Valverde and Bellingham, as Bellingham was dropping in to have to defend a little bit, of course, as the 10 for Real Madrid. And that meant on the other side that Pedri and Costa, well, they weren't necessarily in man-to-man situations with Valverde and Bellingham. It was them who could find a little bit of space. But Camavinga was man-marking Gavi, and Gavi being Barcelona's number 10 on the other side. Costa wasn't necessarily doing that with Bellingham. It was Pedri consistently checking back to Costa and trying to stay close to him to try to cut out that space that Bellingham was going to have. And I think it worked really well to good effect in that first half. And even in the first 5 minutes, I think Barcelona set the precedent in the way they wanted to play by controlling the tempo, dictating play. And it all started the second minute with Lamine Yamal making Courtois go full extension on the save. An energetic start from Barcelona, which was still a positive. By the 4th minute, I don't think Real Madrid had strung together more than 4 passes in a row. Madrid weren't really touching the ball. And speaking of touch, the touch on Gavi's ball, this is so early in the match, I know, but hey, I'm giving you the whole review of this match. There was a ball from Gavi to Rafinha for the header that Courtois saved. It was awesome from Gavi, and that kind of told you that Barcelona, instead of having a little bit of nerves or not completing their passes, they started this game sharp, regardless of the fact that Real Madrid scored a minute after that. Because here's the 1-0, let's talk about it, the early wake-up call. Barcelona had played well, but Real Madrid are still Real Madrid. So they break through Mbappe. This is the first time, as I said, Madrid is really on the ball, and it's Mbappe against Balde, turning him inside and out and beating Szczesny dead to rights. Vini Jr. probably fouled Costa in the build-up, but the refs let him play on, and Szczesny probably should have done better here. Balde should also have not allowed Mbappe to continue to walk him back towards his own goal, get into such deep position, because it was one little strife of the arm, and in on goal was Mbappe, well, at least with an angle tight enough where he could still get it past Szczesny. So there it is, the 1-0. And after that point, Barcelona had to reset. They had to get their minds on right, and they had to figure out how they were going to answer Real Madrid in this match and not let them get overwhelmed. Mbappe got stepped on and came up limping in the 8th minute. He was able to continue, and I feel like in the second half, there was some energy. We've seen Mbappe, especially in Champions League games this year, fade in and fade out. So I don't think the stop really affected him, though he did later on in that first half have to go off for a little bit of time and have his ankle wrapped up. So he may not have been firing on all cylinders, but hey, when it comes to the last 20, 30 minutes of this match, it was hard to tell that he had picked up that knock in the first half. 9th minute, another miss by Rafinha, and that's the point when I was starting to get a little nervous. They were down 1-0 and felt like they couldn't hit the back of the net. This miss by Rafinha. It's another good build-up by Barcelona, though, so here are the positives amongst the negatives. This cross from Balde early was what people were saying that he doesn't do. Balde Foreshadowing here, was really good in this match, but Rafinha couldn't get it on frame, so yeah, some worrying missed chances for Barcelona early. 14th minute, Real Madrid at that point were really starting to feel themselves a bit. When Rodrigo can take on more than one and switch play, that defensively was what worried me more than anything else that happened in this match. Rodri getting against Balde in 1v1 situations and getting the better of Balde. Balde had to win those 1v1 situations, and this was one of those early moments. Because when Rodrigo can take on Balde and come inside, that means that there are players open. And the players open then are Vini Jr. and Mbappe and Bellingham. And it was Bellingham on the run this time, but it couldn't come to anything for Real Madrid, and Barcelona were able to survive in that early going. The Madrid game plan for Pedri, I think, was pretty simple. It's be physical with him. And like I've talked about before, with Xavi, with Iniesta, with players who, in theory, that's going to be the game plan because that's all you could do with them. I mean, teams try to do this against Modric as well, but they seem to be able to rise above. And that is that level that Pedri needs to be at to really be called a superstar in this game. He needs to not have that physicality affect him, and he needs to play through it, and he did exactly that. Beautiful to see. If the only game plan you have for Pedri is to rough him up a little bit and he plays through it, then you're going to be in a world of hurt if Barcelona have possession, which they had so much of in the first half. At some points, it was 75, 80% possession, even though Real Madrid were up 1-0. As I say, even down 1-0, Barcelona were playing with confidence. 18th minute, Rafinha takes a dummy that gets to Pedri, and it takes a deflection from Tchouaméni to save that one from Pedri. So Barcelona were continuing to build chances. And what do I tell you about that luck? You got to make your own luck, and Barcelona were doing just that, even down 1-0. Because headline 2 is breaking through. That leads us into the 22nd minute, and Lamine Yamal, the only player with 2 goals against Real Madrid under the age of 19. That's Lamine Yamal, another, not a big record. Who cares about U19 numbers? But puts himself in the history books with this goal here. Build up from Barcelona, tremendous again. Beating the press, Koundé with that diagonal on the ground to Lewandowski, and with Cubarsí and Inigo Martinez being such threats for those diagonals through the air, that meant that Koundé, and we've seen before, teams that tried to press Koundé and be the guy who's going to press him. And just like we saw in the losses this season, if Lewandowski is not good enough with his link-up play, then Koundé is going to be the guy that teams are going to successfully going to press. But Koundé gets this one nice and sharp on the ground, diagonal to Lewandowski. Lewandowski brought his link-up boots today because he gets this one touch onto Lamine Yamal into the half space. And there was not much that Real Madrid could do about this. This is that first moment where I do mention that we could say how bad Real Madrid were, sure, but I also want to make sure we push against that narrative and say that Barcelona were as good as Real Madrid were bad today. Barcelona took this trophy from their rivals as much as Real Madrid were giving it to them. Because yes, was Tchouaméni out of position here? Sure. Was Rudiger out of position here? Sure. Did Ferland Mendy allow Lamine Yamal to get inside position on him and he was not close enough to Lamine Yamal? Yes. All of those things happened on this. So Tchouaméni, Rudiger, Mendy not covering themselves in glory, but this is also Barcelona expertly beating the press with the one touch from Lewandowski on the pass from Koundé, and Lamine Yamal staying onside and then finishing with a lot of composure past Courtois as a 17-year-old kid. So this is 1-1. This is as deserved for Barcelona to get the 1-1 as Real Madrid did give it to him. The bad news, unfortunately, for Barcelona, though, in this first half, and this is going to be something that we're going to be talking about, and it's certainly affecting the news cycle beyond just this match. So I'm almost going to put a pin in this. I don't want to give you my full thoughts, but I think the Araujo stuff is going to not only be coming more to the forefront here, but now we might have a little bit of a war between player and club. Because I do think that Barcelona, as much as they reportedly disliked that opening bid from Juventus for Ronald Araujo, sounds like Juventus' bid was so low that Barcelona might have walked away from the table and said, hey, Araujo, we're going to keep you around. We know that you have enough professionalism to fight for trophies with us. We're going to need you. And now it seems like they're really going to need him because Inigo Martinez goes down in the 28th minute. It is reportedly a torn hamstring that could leave him out for at least 5 weeks. Ronald Araujo comes on. I thought it could have been at that point. I put in my notes, is this his last game for Barcelona? But then I heard that Inigo Martinez is going to be missing a few weeks, and Araujo's wearing the captain's armband at that point. This is all incredible stuff because that is what narratives are made of, right? It's the player that was in the news winds up coming on off the bench, and it's going to be making even more news because now Barcelona will not want to lose a captain in Araujo, a player who, for the rest of this match, had to show you the kind of defender he was. Barcelona wound up getting the win. And Araujo definitely played a part in this game against Vini Jr. and Mbappe. So I don't know where Araujo's future is going to be come the summertime, but I would say for the remainder of this spring, because of this injury to Inigo Martinez, I don't see how Barcelona allow him to leave, even if they need the money in the macro. Headline 3 is Tour de Força. I'm having some fun here. This was a headline. Maybe you've heard French speakers say it before, but it's time to talk about all those goals. And yes, we are going to talk about all those Barca goals now because this game had its twists and turns, but it all gets blown open in the 33rd minute. And it is interesting to remember, this game was 1-1 in the 33rd minute. It was anybody's game. And then a controversial, if you want to call it that, penalty shout for Gabi, and it was on the ESPN feed, Steve McManaman, and he wasn't too happy. Felt like Gabi was going down too early, but this is still a foul on Camavinga, just because it happens inside the box. And I don't think Gabi was taking the dive. Maybe Real Madrid fans need to watch more of Gabi, but he throws his body at the ball. He does this often, so I don't think he was going down anticipating that contact from Camavinga. Camavinga shouldn't even have made that contact because Gabi was going away from the goal, so there was no reason to go in with the boot the way he did. It wasn't a lot of contact on the thigh, but it's still a foul. It's definitely a penalty. VAR agreed with us, and that sends Lewandowski to the PK spot. 36 minutes, so it took 3 minutes to get all that decided. Then Kool-Aid's had to sit through what we thought was going to be a big run-up from Lewandowski, but it wasn't as long of a run-up that usually makes Kool-Aid sweat. Instead, it was a small run-up, a confident run-up from Lewandowski. Picked his corner, strong with pace, got it past Courtois. Barcelona, by the way, maybe I should have known my history and had more confidence in Lewandowski because they have now scored 18 straight penalties in El Clásico. The last one they missed was 17 years ago by Samuel Eto'o on Casillas. So it's been a long time since Barcelona did not convert at the PK spot. Pretty much the entire Messi era, they did not miss a penalty, that being Barcelona against Real Madrid. So yeah, maybe I should have had a little more faith in Lewandowski, who shot a pretty confident penalty here. And now time for the 3-1. This is the point where I try to answer that question. How did Barcelona take on Real Madrid? How did they beat Real Madrid? And I would love to go on Big Up, as I do with the tactics board, and show you the tactics and break all this down. But all right, this is the one goal when I can be a bit apologetic to Madrid fans and say, all right, your team wasn't really good enough on this one. This is just a bad mistake at the back. If Barcelona had defended this way, Kool-Aid's would absolutely be up in arms, and Madridistas fairly should be frustrated with this goal. Koundé, nobody closes him out. He has it on a platter for Rafinha's header. No Madrid player closed Koundé down at all. That's a bit inexcusable. And Lamine Yamal wasn't even making a run. Lamine Yamal was kind of just waiting for that inside pass from Koundé. And Real Madrid at that point just ball watching. Rafinha runs right in between Tchouaméni and Lucas Vázquez. The second header that he had at Courtois, this time around, he leaves no doubt. Nothing Courtois could do. Now, I will give credit to Rafinha. This is excellent from him with the power required to beat the goalkeeper. It wasn't just redirecting it. He had to put some power on it. But as far as that cross that Koundé got off and Rafinha finding his space, that is inexcusable from Real Madrid. And many Los Blancos fans have a right to be upset with their team. At that point, Barcelona, though, with 3 goals and 2 in 3 minutes, they were flying high and playing with a lot of confidence. And against Real Madrid, if you're the team that plays with confidence and has a stronger mentality, good things can happen for you. 43rd minute, Lewandowski could have made it 4-1 at that point, not too far away with a header. Balde, that time, gave it to Rafinha on the run in the half space, and Lewandowski made a near-post run, and Rudiger was slow to get there. Yes, Rodrigo did give Balde some trouble in this game, but Balde and Rafinha gave Lucas Vázquez a lot more trouble on the other side. Real Madrid, especially when Barcelona went down to 10 men, were trying their best to control the wings, and Barcelona were kind of saying, yeah, you can control the wings, but when it came time to go in transition, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, Balde, Lucas Vázquez, and Ferland Mendy really did not have an answer for them, and Vini Jr., Mbappe, even Bellingham trying to track back, and Rodrigo, defensively, they were all out of sorts. Barcelona had the better answers on the wings, and that meant the middle of the park was more open for those to be mano-a-mano. And Gabi and Pedri and Costa, we're going to talk about them when they went down to 10 men, but they won this midfield battle too. Barcelona winning all those little matchups around the field, and that means that they're going to be on the front foot. So if you want to know how Barcelona beat Real Madrid, it's just that. They won their individual matchups, yes, but they in particular took advantage of the spots on the wings, and Balde, Rafinha, they were sensational in the open space. Lamine Yamal the same way, better than Real Madrid, who are known for scoring goals and being the better team in wide open space. If Gabi is going to be better in that 10 position than Bellingham, and Camavinga could not guard Gabi today, then Barcelona are going to be the better team. And that was definitely the case when they're up 3-1, which at that point, Camavinga, nearing halftime, probably should have got his second yellow. I think he was pretty fortunate that he didn't for pulling back Lamine Yamal, but I also think that the referee didn't want to give that second yellow because the yellow on the PK was a bit soft. I think it's still a PK. Was it a yellow for Camavinga? I'm not sure. It was a bit rough on the PK. I think it's a yellow because it happens in the box. But then the second yellow that he definitely should have got as a yellow winds up being something that the ref kind of says play on. And whether or not you want to talk about Manzano and all of his, time with Barcelona and history with Barcelona, we don't have to talk about that. Both teams with some high-lined hijinks before the first half came to an end and really up and down stuff, which usually supports Real Madrid. It usually supports Real Madrid, yes. But first half stoppage time, Balde kept being the free man. After Lamine Yamal and Gavi were dancing with it, it goes to the opposite side, and Courtois had to make another save on Balde. But only moments later then, defending a corner is Real Madrid, and it's Balde again in 45 plus 10. Usually stoppage time is also when we're talking about Real Madrid goals. But here, the 4-1 comes from Barcelona in, oh my goodness, extra time and stoppage time in the first half, whatever you want to call that. Real Madrid making a huge mistake on a corner, trying to play it short and giving it away. Lamine Yamal attracting all the attention in the middle of the park where he honestly can be most dangerous, not just on the wing. Wing is where functionally he does the most damage, but in the middle is where he's at his most dangerous. He attracts so much attention, and Rafinha and Balde are off to the races with their speed. Valverde dives in on Rafinha as he should have, didn't get the ball, and so Rafinha just lays it off for Balde, who's too quick for Mendy, and Balde finishes it with a lot of confidence in a big moment for La Masia product that loves scoring against Real Madrid. Barcelona, by the way, had not scored 4 goals against Real Madrid in the first half of an official Clásico for 82 years. It was 4-2 at halftime in a game at Lake Court in January of 1943. That game ended 5-5, so when I did see that stat, I didn't mention it. I didn't say it because I was a bit worried. Of course, they wind up holding on in this one, but I love the fact that I get to bring up, hey, Barcelona did something really cool that they hadn't done in 82 years. And finally, let's finish our tour de Força with the 5th goal for Barcelona. Yes, I jammed in 4 goals for Barca, all within the same headline, because this game was Barcelona's for the taking. They could have scored a lot more, and maybe I would have had to make more headlines out of it. But the 5-1 comes after Rodrigo had just hit the post. Don't forget that. This one could have been 4-2 at that point, with Rodrigo hitting the crossbar, but wide open at the back post was Rodrigo, and Barcelona, again, dodging bullets here, totally unmarked. Then it goes the other way, though, and then Rafinha scores. Real Madrid, it seemed like every time that something didn't go their way, Barcelona, mentality-wise, took over. And I think that is what Hansi Flick has to be most proud of, that his team had the more superior mentality against a team that is how they overwhelm opponents. Yes, with their physicality, with their speed, with their athletes, with some really tremendous superstar talent, of course. It's Real Madrid, but between the ears, Carlo Ancelotti's teams, very rarely do they lose, especially in finals. But Barcelona with the stronger team between the ears, and especially on this 5-1, in transition again, Real Madrid playing with a high line, and Balde to Castro to Rafinha, and Barcelona is up the field in 3 passes. That cannot happen if you're Real Madrid. If you're expected to press and defend and work hard, Ancelotti's teams have to get on the front foot by defending and pressing. It didn't happen for them. So Rafinha now in behind Real Madrid, so much time and space that he cut it back. This is a lot of confidence from Rafinha too. He's been struggling to score of late, but he got a brace here because he was playing with a ton of confidence as he needs to do. Cuts it back on Tchouaméni, hits it with his left. So no doubt that Barcelona have the manita against Real Madrid. Really frustrating for Courtois, and he's definitely in the locker room going to have a lot to say for his back line, few of which are not really defenders. Headline 4 is Real Madrid's Lifeline. Even up 5-2, you would have felt like Barcelona could have scored 6 or 7, but we know that that wasn't to be. Real Madrid looking to make some changes. Asensio comes on for Valverde, and he gets rid of the captain's armband. I don't know how often he's going to be trusted to start. I think they're going to look at Valverde as a right-back option, or in January, they're going to be dipping into the transfer window. That'll be the buzz, and that's a problem for Real Madrid, of course. Lamine Yamal is a problem, I think, for Real Madrid left backs, and Mendy didn't have any answers. Rudiger trying to help him, didn't work out for him. Picks up a yellow soon after that. 54th minute, though, this is where this game, it's not that it got turned on its head, but it became still a question mark if Barcelona was going to take home this trophy because Szczesny and Mbappe in a 50-50. VAR took a look at it, and Bellingham having played through Mbappe, well done Mbappe to stay onside. It did look like Szczesny made contact, and due to the fact that it was in on goal, that was going to be a red card the whole time. So that meant that Barcelona from the 54th minute on, plus stoppage time, we're going to have to play with 10 men. 59th minute, Hansi Flick. Now, I saw some pushback for this substitute. Dani Olmo comes on for Gabi and Lamine Yamal because Inaki Peña also had to come on, obviously, as the goalkeeper. So Lamine Yamal and Gabi, two players that are not fully fit at the moment for full 90-minute match fitness. That's what Hansi Flick does. Takes them off and goes with Olmo, and there was some pushback, and this is one of those hindsight is 2020 things, because now it winds up being a genius opportunity for Barcelona to put a fresh player in Olmo, because Olmo, not necessarily known for his defensive acumen, he defended that badge, the same one that he kissed at full time, goes over to the crowd, shows the badge, says, hey, I'm proud of being in this club. I was always going to stay, regardless of this registration stuff. I mean, this is the stuff for Kool-Aid. You pump it right into our veins. And with the other two not fully fit, Olmo, I mean, he had some rest. He wasn't able to play. He wasn't registered. He just sit. And he had all this energy, I think, built up, and he defended like heck today. Great job by you, Dani Olmo, and good job by Hansi Flick to make a substitution that he could have gone with Frankie de Jong. This is a knock on Frankie de Jong, but he goes with Dani Olmo, and this is absolutely the right choice on the defensive side of the ball, too. The 5-2, though, still does come. This has nothing to do with Dani Olmo or in anybody's defensive efforts. Inaki Peña, before he could even kind of tighten his gloves up, it's 5-2 in the 60th minute. Rodrigo hits the free kick and makes it 2 for Real Madrid. It's a quality strike here, but Inaki Peña hadn't been on for long and probably didn't set up his wall properly because that goes right away from the wall and Peña doesn't stop it on the goal side. Probably should have got to it, did Peña, but yeah, not strong enough wrist. Now it's 5-2. Now it's interesting. 64th minute. If this is 2 years ago even, maybe even last year, Modric on for Tchouaméni. I'm quaking in my boots. I still wasn't, with all that time left, there was still 35 minutes on the clock. I was still quite worried at that point because things were really nervy there on the 65th minute. Madrid were beginning to build in confidence, and the last thing you want for Los Blancos is to have confidence with the ball against the 10 men. That Rodrigo goal gave them belief that Madrid is always looking for, and that is a team that you cannot give even a sliver of an opportunity to. So Barcelona mentally had to keep their heads on straight and keep focused. And then finally, headline 5 is earn that trophy. This is a long 5 headlines because, hey, this was a big match with a lot of twists and turns, 7 goals, a lot to talk about. So please indulge me here as we kind of celebrate and take that victory lap here. More for the defensive stuff than the offensive stuff. We talked about the goals. The front 3 for Barcelona, find the back of the net, plus Balde for the 5th. This was good stuff by a front line that wasn't necessarily firing all cylinders the last few weeks, especially with the Yamal having that injury. They got the job done. Now down to 10 men. It's all about defensively, batten down the hatches and figure things out. Midfield, do not give the ball away. Back line, defend for each other, communicate, and get the job done. In the last 40 minutes or so, in my notes, I have good moments from all of Koundé, Cubarsí, Olmo, Araujo, Castro, Pedri, Balde. All of those having their moments as Madrid look to play out wide and get some crosses in. And whenever I feel like either team, Barcelona or anybody else, is spamming crosses, I feel like defensively, you're doing something right. Real Madrid were desperately looking for Bellingham in the air on crosses or even through the middle, and there was no space for him. Castro, my biggest hat off to you today for the effort that you put in defensively. There were so many times when he could have picked up a yellow on those tackles that he hit the ground on, but he didn't. He played composed within himself. That just takes, again, a strong, phenomenal mentality from the 21-year-old. Final subs coming into this game, 75th minute, Fran Garcia and Brahim Diaz come on for Vinny Jr. and Ferland Mendy. 79th minute then, Rafinha, who worked really hard today, comes off for Ferran Torres as the final sub to close out the game. 80th minute, I loved how Inaki Peña here commanded his box and went up to get it on a corner. Beautiful stuff. And then this is the moment that sums up the second half of this game to me. The latter stages of the game. Pedri, you know that ball retention and Pedri, it's boring for other people, but I love it more than most things in this world. And that sweet ball retaining boy from Las Palmas makes me happy here. He is surrounded by white shirts, and it didn't matter how hard they tried to press him, how many guys they threw at him, how many extra men they had, Pedri and Castro and Gavi, And late in that game with Olmo and even Lewandowski adding to that party, people asked why he wasn't taken off earlier in this game and why he went the full 90. And that's because he brought his boots that helped him keep possession in this game. He doesn't always bring them. And Hansi Flick trusted him. Hey, he looked like he was in form today, so you keep Lewandowski on late. And late on in this game, some gamesmanship from Lewandowski as well, with Rudiger going mano-a-mano, playing with some physicality, taking time off the clock. The dark arts, hey, if Real Madrid can get away with it, Barca can't too, but I don't feel like they did anything too egregious with the dark arts here late in this game. I like that they still kind of won their way. Now, Araujo did have to pick up a yellow on Mbappe late. Rodrigo couldn't make it 2 free kicks, though, there. Rudiger then desperation playing as a center forward, but Madrid just could not break down Barcelona with 10 men. 91st minute, we were almost at the end here. Mbappe addresses Koundé, but Koundé recovers to tip the ball underneath Bellingham. 10 of 10 on this tackle from Koundé that could have been 5-3. And now it's stoppage time, and we saw what Real Madrid did against Mallorca in stoppage time. It doesn't happen. He doesn't foul, that being Koundé Bellingham, knocking right into the hands of Peña. Beautiful stuff from Jules Koundé. Barcelona still pressing in the 93rd minute, still fighting for a trophy, something that they wouldn't necessarily do in the Liga when they're up 5-2, but they do against Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup, forcing Real Madrid to continue to touch it on to teammates under pressure, and Araujo defending really well, whether it was Rudiger or Mbappe. They were offside anyway, didn't matter. And then in the 96th minute, Lewandowski probably should have left this one for Olmo. Olmo has a reason to be frustrated with Lewandowski. And on the other side, it's an exclamation mark save on Mbappe by Peña. Mbappe got past Koundé and Araujo, but Iñaki Peña, good stuff by Peña as well. Wasn't expected to start this match. He didn't start this match and still had to come in and make sure this game didn't get too complicated with 10 men. He had to control his box, control his area, and be that final bit of defense that this Barcelona backline needed, and he was that, even in stoppage time with the game pretty much already decided. Hansi Flick, historically, had never lost a final, and you never lose one until you do, so it could have happened. I saw people pretty nervous before this matchup. I thought it was 50-50. Real Madrid were coming in good form, but that Barcelona starting 11 is as good as anybody's 11 in world football, and Barcelona with a better team today. From the opening whistle all the way through, the 2 goals to Real Madrid, don't care too much about them. We know how they were scored. And yeah, sure, they took the 1-0 lead. Barcelona, mentally, they were the better team. But to answer that question one more time, how did Barcelona beat Real Madrid today? Between the ears, they were better. With the ball at their feet, they were better. Scoring goals, they were better. They were just the better team. That's how they beat Real Madrid. They proved that they deserve to be at the top of the Liga, which they're not. That's Atletico Madrid right now. So Real Madrid, they lost Spanish Super Cup final, and they lost first in the Liga table. So pretty good day for anybody that's not wearing white. And if you're still with me, you're definitely not a Real Madrid fan. But if you're with me, and you're a Barca fan or somebody else, or somebody who just want to tune in the Liga more, well, I implore you, please subscribe to the channel. Help me out on the podcast apps, Patreon, merch store, everywhere you can find it. Because I'll reiterate one final time. Do not let people tell you that Real Madrid just lost this match and gave it to Barcelona. Barcelona won this match and took it from Real Madrid. And that's why I say, as I always do, win, lose, or draw, and especially when you win trophies, Força Barca.